hard to admit she's struggling because she's used to being the one who has it all together. But lately, it's been tough. The good news: burnout is a sign that it's time to pause and reset. It's your body and mind telling you that you deserve a break, and you're not weak for needing one. You don't have to do it all at once, and it's okay to take a step back to recharge. You've handled so much already, and you'll come back stronger. But first, you need to rest. Let go of the pressure to be perfect, and give yourself the space to breathe. You've got this.
Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to another exciting Saturday on the Y.W.W.B initiative discussion platform. And Y.W.W.B stands for the Young Women and Wives with Burdens and Blessings. And I remain your humble host for the month of April, Rosemary Henry Eze, also coordinating the affairs of the initiative. It's been an awesome week, and as our custom is, please, as soon as you join this live, kindly tell us where you are joining us from. We'd love to appreciate you. For everyone who has been on this discussion platform with us thus far, I want to say a big thank you for your support, for your love, for everything that, for spending your money on data for those of us in Africa. Thank you so much for all that you have done and all you continue to do, to strengthen the woman and help her gain wholeness in every aspect of our life. We say on the Y.W.W.B initiative discussion platform, it's about talks, discussion, help, and wholeness for the woman. And tonight we're going to be discussing a very important topic: recognizing and managing burnout in women. And I have with us this evening our special guest speaker in the person of Lisa Maclean. She's right here, and I'm going to bring her on. I'm bringing her on. Thank you so much, Mommy Olabisi from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us of the initiative. Thank you for joining. It's been a wonderful week. How was your week, and how are you doing? Hello, Lisa. Hello. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Good to have you. Thank you so much for doing that. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy having you on the program this night. And I was telling a friend, I said, the speaker for tonight is an awesome person. I'm going to be reading it's our norm to actually read the biography of our speaker. So this night I'll be reading your biography. So please give me some time to reel out your biography because it's not easy. You worked for it.
Oh.
Lisa Maclean, born and raised in Prince Edward Island, Canada, is a passionate advocate for mental health, a business owner, author, and creative. Lisa also serves as the Vice President of the Confederation Women's Institute branch, where they are dedicated to promoting community development and women's empowerment. I'm a member, so with a deep commitment to advocating for mental health, Lisa works tirelessly to support those navigating mental health challenges, offering guidance, resources, and encouragement. As an author, Lisa shares personal insights and experiences to inspire and empower others on their mental health journey. Driven by a desire to make a meaningful impact, Lisa continues to inspire, innovate, and advocate for positive change in both business and mental spaces. I want to say a big welcome, Lisa, once more. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really expectant. I'm excited because I know you, and I know how blessed and impactful your journey is. And you look awesome. You look awesome.
Thank you. So do you. You look beautiful.
I'm good. So tonight, Lisa will be speaking with us on the topic recognizing and managing burnout in women. So without wasting much of our time, Lisa, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I want to start off by saying thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about recognizing and managing burnout in women. Topics such as these are so close to my heart, and I think it's a conversation that needs to happen more. I think it's a conversation and a discussion that doesn't happen enough, especially for burnout in women specifically. I think it's so important to understand the signs and understand the symptoms of what burnout can look like, so that we can actively take steps towards preventing it from happening in our own lives. Now, I don't know what time it is where you guys are listening in, but for myself, I think you mentioned it's evening for you, Rosemary, but it's evening for me
Yeah.
as well. And for myself, evening is so important. It's one of the most important times of my day for me, because it's the evening is when I have allotted time for de-stressing and actively doing the practices that I put in place, routines that I can de-stress, wind down for the day. And if there's one thing that you guys take away from today, it's that you should every single day have a time frame in your day where you have allotted, where you can actively de-stress, you can wind down, you can do some self-care, or you can do something that you know is good for you, or something that you know will help you in the long run. Now, thank you so much for that kind introductory. I really appreciate it. I was going to talk on a little bit about myself, just so you guys can understand who I am and what I do. So I graduated, as you mentioned, from University of Prince Edward Island, where I studied and got a degree with psychology and literature. So I've always been someone who's very fascinated with the human mind, how it works with people and how they work. I currently do social media, where I'm a self-help, self-care, and mental health advocate. I provide a platform for others where they're able to get help in areas around mental health and self-help, and anything intertwined within that. I also sit as the vice president as the Women's Institute Confederational branch, which is where I met Rosemary through, and had the pleasure of being invited to give you guys a presentation today. Now, on top of that, I have a 9 to 5, and I also have a business on the side. And I'm also a author, currently working on my second book about finding balance, which is a lot of my writing is around mental health and advocacy for that, and self-care, and anything within that realm. I talk about everything that happens in life. And I'm also a musician as well. So with that being said, I said all that because for some people that might seem like a lot, and it is. And if I was to be doing the same things that I'm doing today 5 years ago, I would have reached burnout, which is exactly what happened. So I'll give you guys a little bit sneak peek into my personal experience with burnout. I actually had my first experience of burnout when I was about 23, 24 years old. And I know, very young as for experiencing burnout. But I experienced it when there was an experience in my life that happened that was very traumatic. And my grieving process was kind of prolonged through a period of time. And around the age of 23 and 24, I started like throwing myself into a bunch of different things. So I was in school full time. I was working. There was some points where I had 2 jobs. I was doing a business on the side and doing photography. So I kind of threw myself into those things as much as possible. And then it took about 6 to 8 months for me to realize something's wrong. Like, I don't feel good. I am irritable. I'm so tired all the time. I'm absolutely stressed. I can't seem to do anything. Everything seems so hard for me to do. Just like the simplest task of, like getting up, like that was so difficult for me to do. And that's when I realized, oh, I'm experiencing burnout. And my healing process, or like the healing stage for my recovery, started around COVID time. So that's when, everybody else was inside and I was inside. And it kind of helped a little bit because to know, like, everyone else is inside too. So it's fine that I'm taking this time to rest and to heal and to recuperate and try to recover from everything that's gone on. So it was a very long process. So it kind of shows you that no matter what your age is, you can reach burnout at any point in your life. Some people think that's something that happens mid in like your 40s or 50s, or some people think it happens later on, but it can happen at any point in time in your life. So that's why today I really want to help you guys understand the stages and the signs, so that we can kind of prevent it from happening in our lives. Now, I also want to note that if you ever feel like you've ever taken too much on in your life, it's completely okay to pull back. It's okay to remove things from your life. It's okay to say no. It's okay to reevaluate the things that you've allowed into your life. It's okay to say, this no longer serves me. This is not bringing me happiness. This is seeping me from all of my energy. I have every right to say no and to remove these things from my life, because if you're constantly allowing things into your life that is seeping the energy out of you, you're not going to have anything left to give anybody else. And I mean, it's no good if you're no good for yourself, you can't help anybody else, right? So that's why it's so important to reevaluate the things that you have invested yourself into and say, what's really important to me? What brings me happiness? What fulfills me? What gives me energy? And those are all important things to reevaluate. So my goal today for you guys is to give you the tools to recognize the stages of burnout. And if you are in one of those stages, I want you to be able to identify what stage you're in so that you can start implementing some things into your life to prevent yourself from actually reaching burnout. Because statistics show that if you do reach burnout, it can take 3, sometimes 5 years to fully recover and heal from reaching burnout. So we want to prevent that from happening to begin with, right? So let's start with phase 1. So phase 1 of burnout, it's called the honeymoon phase. And essentially the honeymoon phase is when you have this like ample amount of energy, you want to throw yourself into something, you have all this passion for something. And so for some people that could be you started a new job. So you start a new job, you want to impress your manager, you want to do really well, and so you're giving all of this energy to this position, to this job. For other people it could be family, you might have children. Of course we want to give our family and our children everything that we have, so you're giving all this energy to them. And then for others, it could be you might have projects or passions on the go. And so all these things are demanding your energy. You're giving all of these things all of your attention. And so that kind of leads us into the second stage of burnout, which is onset of stress. So this stage of stress is essentially when you start putting all of your time and efforts into your job or into your projects or into your family, and you're finding that you have less and less time for yourself. You feel a little bit more stressed and you have less time to socialize, and you're not putting your needs first. And so right now in society, a lot of people are in this stage and a lot of people don't even know it. So it's a lot of, like, I've been doing some thinking and reflecting on this, and we live in a very like hustle bustle society right now where people are working multiple jobs. You have to have multiple sources of income. Some women specifically are working and raising a family. Like, it's very demanding. It takes a lot of our energy. And when you are not aware of what that can do to you, it's very, very easy to reach burnout. So that leads us to the third stage of burnout, which is chronic stress. And this is the stage where you start seeing the effects of the overexertion starting to take place. So you have irritableness, things stress you out way easier. You might have the physical symptoms of like headache and fatigue. And then we have the fourth stage, which is actually burnout, which is where you just start to see yourself not care. Like, you physically pull yourself away, emotionally pull yourself away. And these things, like these side effects, start taking effect, and it takes longer for you to get your work done. And the other thing is your physical fatigue is amplified. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, you always feel tired, and it feels like it takes every ounce of energy out of you to do the simplest tasks in a day. And so a lot of time people can mistaken this stage of burnout, which is just essentially burnout, as symptoms of depression. And some people might think, like, do I have depression? Am I experiencing what's going on here? But a lot of time it's you're in the depths of burnout. So now the last stage of burnout, it's called habitual burnout. And that is a stage where you're absolutely in burnout, and then you start to realize you need to start seeking external help. So you start going to a therapist, psychologist, counselor, someone who can possibly help you get back into the state you were before you reached burnout. Now, now that you guys kind of understand the stages of burnout, if you find yourself in stages between 1 and 3, now is the time where you should be taking action to actively work towards getting outside of that. Once you hit stages 4 and 5, it's kind of like, I don't want to say no return, but it's very, very hard to get out of that. So, it takes years to recover, like I mentioned. So you want to try and get yourself out of that state before you reach 4 and 5, because once you reach those stages, it's going to take a long time to recover. So that kind of, with all that being said, kind of brings me to my conclusion, which is burnout is essentially the chronic stressful state, and it can blunt your ability to deal with any normal day stressor in life. And to recover, you have to rest. You have to allow your body and your brain systems to essentially reboot. A lot of people who experience burnout, they feel like it's eternal, like it's going to last forever and they'll never ever get out of it. But if you actively understand the stressors, understand the signs and the symptoms, then you'll be able to prevent it from happening. And that's why I think discussions like today, conversation, discussing with your friends, your family, just colleagues, whoever, if you can have conversations about it, you can understand it more so that you can identify if you're in it and where you're at, so that you can regress, go back to, being before you hit burnout. So yeah, that is essentially my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. I had an absolute blast doing research on this and going back to kind of things that I've learned and reflected on. And I was so excited to hear about your guys' comments and discussion. Yeah.
Amazing, very concise, very detailed, and I knowing you has been a blessing. I'm not trying to like hype you, you know that, but it has been a blessing, and I have learned a lot from your person. And I just want to say a big thank you once more for doing this for the initiative.
Of
And
course.
what you have shared this evening has really opened my eyes to, it's just while you were speaking, it was as if you were kind of like detailing the phase I have experienced to, I think presently I'm kind of experiencing the third stage
Yes.
of that. And and I also believe that while you were giving, while you were speaking, you have answered the question that one of our audience asked to say, kindly explain the difference between burnout, stress, and tiredness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to say something about, about these three no words. What is different between, okay, let me just say stress, burnout, and tiredness.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of, got it. I think certain things are a result of burnout. So burnout is essentially when you have an excess amount of stress, or if you have an excess, like stress is the cause of burnout, but then burnout is the result of tiredness, if that makes sense. Or burnout
Yeah.
causes tiredness. So in order for you to prevent burnout, it's to decrease your stress. So the stressors in your life, even the most simplest of things. So if you find that you're getting to a place in life where, this thing that I have said yes to is causing me stress, and not like I don't feel like it's taking away from my peace, it's taking away from my energy, then it needs to be removed. So that's stress. That's something that's causing you stress. Something that you feel like it's just getting you uneasy. You feel anxious about it. It's taking away from your energy. Then you've got multiple stressors that can possibly lead to burnout. But burnout is a side category of tiredness, because burnout is essentially you're just exhausted. you're tired and you need to reset. You need to rest and take time to recover. And so it's kind of hard to differentiate the three because they all kind of coincide. They all kind of exist together. And some are a result of others, right? So you have to, and that's why I kind of emphasize the importance of revisiting the priorities in your life, because if certain things are causing more stress than others, obviously the things that don't cause you as much stress are good. Those are good. And I'm not saying all stress is bad stress, but I'm saying that if it's a stress that you're finding you're not wanting to deal with, or it's a stress that is taking your peace away, that's when you should probably revisit whether or not you want that in your life. Hopefully that
Thank you
answers.
so much.
Of course.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that this topic is on point, and it's coming at the right time. It's coming at the right time.
Yes.
So someone said, "Is burnout not a workplace stress?"
Yes, it is. But it's also, it can happen in your personal life too. Um, you know, burnout is the result of mostly work. So work related, if your passions and hobbies and projects that you've got on the go, those can also um, cause burnout as well. But yes, burnout is majority of the time a result of the workplace, but it can also influence and affect your personal life as well.
Thank you so much. So I want to ask if it's majorly from, you know, of the workplace, how do one handle um, burnout that results from workplace? You can set your priorities when it comes to your personal life, but when it
Yes.
comes to work, you are confined to follow instructions, job descriptions, and everything stipulated for you at your place of work. So how do one manage burnout resulting from work, from workplace? How do one manage
Right.
it?
Um, well, like you said, you can prioritize kind of the things that are most important. If you find like your title or your position that you hold is entails like areas that are just too much for you to handle, you might have to revisit whether or not you are capable or able at this time and frame at this moment to continue doing that job position, right? So if you have said yes to a manager position, well, as a manager, you are responsible for certain things. So if you're not able to do that, maybe you need to reevaluate whether or not that position is for you. And I know that doesn't sound right, that it doesn't sound nice, because, you've got bills to pay, you've got a family to feed or whatever, but it's, you have to kind of revisit where your priorities are again. You can also search for external help. So if you feel like, you know, your workload every day is just too much and it's overwhelming, you can always have someone to talk to about it. You can even have a chat with your manager and just let them know, this is where I am, this is how I feel. Is there something that we can do or reach an agreement on that I can kind of, we can reach a happy medium. And I did see a question there about medical assistance. So again, I mentioned like talking to a therapist, talking to a psychiatrist, a counselor. There are lots. If you Google just like your local area and put in counselor therapist, there are some out there that don't require a lot of money. Like there are some free services out there. There's also an app called BetterHelp. There's also, if you guys keep an eye on my social media, I'm going to be working with an app that's going to be released. They are just, I'm just going to be sharing it because I think it's a great idea and a great concept.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
But it's a group of high schoolers. They developed an app and they're going to be sharing. It's essentially there to help you with mental health and anything revolving around that. So I will be sharing that on my social media here shortly, just to have people be aware of it. So if that's something that you need, there's lots of apps out there that are free that you can go on and get some help for mental health or for anxiety, for stress, any of those things. Again, talk to a therapist. I have talked to many therapists in my lifetime. I'm currently not talking to one right now, but if anyone ever asks me at any day of the week, I say and highly recommend always be open to having a therapist or a counselor of some sort, because they can always help you understand your mind and where it's coming from and the chemistry that's going on in there, why you feel a certain way or why you think a certain way. Understanding yourself more can also help you deal with stress and understand, like, what are certain things that make me feel more stressed and how can I cope with those? How can I what are the methods best for me? I personally, if during the day I feel like I'm getting overstressed, I'll just take 5 minutes. I take 5 minutes, I stop everything that I'm doing, and I just take 5 minutes and I do whatever I need to do, whether that's just breathe, I go for a walk, or I go outside, get some fresh air, something that can ground me again, and then I can come back to my work and I'm able to give it everything that I need to give because I've taken 5 minutes to just calm down.
Thank you so much. So I can see another question that says, how can you tell if you are emotionally exhausted or just physically tired?
Well, physically tired is a physical feeling, whereas emotional is very much more internal. And if you look back to what I originally said, so when you have emotions mixed into it, you feel very irritable. You feel like things that happen in your life can easily make you offset. And so that can take effect. So if you feel like you're emotionally stressed, that's different to just feeling physically tired. Um, and that's where I think having a therapist or someone to talk to can definitely help with that. But yeah.
Thank you. So there's a question. I don't know if you're a person of faith, but I don't know you to that extent. But there's a question here. It said, is there a faith-based way of overcoming burnout?
Okay. Well, you have to approach that question very carefully because there's a lot of different beliefs in the world these days. I think understanding in life that everything happens for a reason, I think, is a big part of it. And that doesn't matter what you believe in spiritually or religiously, doesn't matter what background you come from. I believe that, if you're going through something, there's a reason for it. So, and I don't necessarily mean like you're at fault for something. I mean, like, you're going through this to learn something. You're going through this to come out the other end bigger and better and stronger. And so whether you want to believe that there's a God or whatever you want to believe in, that's completely up to you. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think I should ask the person that asked the question, Mr. Akibinu Akinton Akikule. Does that answer your question, sir?
I can't even see this
Okay.
chat. Where's this chat?
Okay. Please, kind of kindly drop your response to that. Okay. Before while we wait for more questions from the audience, I want to personally say that ask my own question. So
Okay.
back while I was back in Africa working, in Nigeria precisely, I worked in construction.
Mm-hmm.
And the environment, okay, thank you. He said yes, it answered. And the nature of my job entails, physical, the use of your physical strength and all that. And
Yes.
because, I need to work
Yes.
to earn, bills need to be
Yes.
paid, I I have no choice most times but to go to work.
Yes.
But to go to work. So now, and coming to Canada, I also observed that in Canada, you have to work for your money. There is no time to loiter or be idle. You work. You are paid what you work for.
Yes.
So how, looking at in the Canadian work life and all that, I know that there are free services to help with counseling, mental health, and all that. But
Hmm.
is there how do one cover for bill payment when during the time when you are taking time off to rest, defining your responsibilities and all that? How do one cater for that?
That's a fair question. I just want to clarify, make sure I understand your question. So you're
Yeah,
asking, because you have to work to earn, how do we recover
yeah,
from taking that time off to
yeah,
essentially rest?
exactly.
Or okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like I wouldn't have a solid answer for that, just
Mhm.
because I mean I can look into it and get back to you.
Yeah.
But I think, just off the top of my head, I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can always look at like government um, bursaries or
Okay.
things that can compensate for your lost wages at the time. That's definitely an
Mm-hmm.
option. I know the process is not always the easiest, but I mean, your mental and physical and spiritual and emotional health is more important than anything else in the entire world. I don't mean that, put those things first and then you lose your home or something like that. But there are, you have to recognize, okay, I'm at the state where I think I need to take some time off. What sort of things do
Mm-hmm.
I need to put in place and implement before I do that, so that when I actually don't have work or a solid income coming in continuously, that I have something
Mm-hmm.
else that will cover that for now. Um, and a lot of times there is, um, with your work and organization, depending on where you work, a lot of times workplaces will offer certain things for burnout or stress leave. So even having a conversation with where you're employed, having a conversation with them and saying, listen, this is where I'm at, this is how I feel, this is what I need, what sort of resources do you guys provide to be able for me to be able to have this time, even if it's like 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, this short period of time, what can we come to a conclusion on so that I can do that, have that rest, and then be able to come back and provide a service for you guys. If they don't do that, then you can always turn locally or turn to your government to see if something is offered that way, because there most likely always is.
Thank you so much. I want to say that the session has been very calm, very detailed, very informative. Thank you so much. And please keep your questions coming. She's still here to answer your question. So my next question is this. I am meant to be my neighbor's keeper. I'm meant to look out for my friend, look out for my family, and look out for everyone around me. So how do I identify or identify when someone is going through, burnout? How do I identify when someone is going through burnout? How do I? What are the signs? What are the symptoms that I would? For
Absolutely.
me, I would, because I can study my, I can, I know how my body feels and all that. But how do I recognize burnout in someone in order to be able to help them?
Absolutely. So, if we go back to about stage 2 of what burnout is, it's essentially when you start seeing people become irritable, they seem very stressed, things in life that are meant to be kind of very simple and easy tasks to complete, they can seem so large and so unattainable, and things that shouldn't really cause much stress are causing, they're large stressors for people. So if you are looking at like a family member or a friend, and you're seeing that, they're constantly stressed, they're irritable, they are visibly pulling back from society, pulling back from their friends, pulling back from you, pulling back from family, especially if you're very, very much involved in their life, you can see the signs almost immediately that there's something going on. And you can always have a conversation with that family member or friend and say, listen, I'm noticing that, this is happening. Are you feeling okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? If you're able to take that on and help them with that. But those are all very like distinct characteristics of what, you know, being on the path of burnout looks like, is when people are showing signs of like pulling back and irritableness, and they always have like headaches, or they're always tired, and you say, did you have like 8 hours of sleep last night? And they're like, yeah, I slept so much, but I'm still so exhausted. And that's a natural outcome of, you know, reaching burnout, is no matter what you do, you just feel tired.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I have two. I don't know if does anyone please kindly drop your questions. I have two more questions from my end, and my first question is, while you were teaching, you said that burnout has no, let me just say, has no respect for age.
Yeah.
But for women now, a younger woman would have more energy due to her youthful nature.
Yes.
But an older woman, there's a limit to the activities that she, if she is exposed, would that she can take.
Hmm.
So activities that would not, naturally not weaken her or make her tired, would now, because of age, make her, tire her out. Let me put it that way. So,
Yes.
is there a way women can, look at age to define activities that they get into in order to prevent burnout?
Okay.
Excuse me.
So to clarify, you just want to, as you age, you want to be able to identify what activities you should and shouldn't do, or
Mm-hmm.
just like ways to prevent burnout as you age.
Yeah, either, but okay, answer both, please.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, as you age, of course, your priorities are going to change in life. So there are certain things, like when I was 20, I was doing certain things that I probably wouldn't be doing today. And that's because my priorities as I've gotten older have definitely changed. And I know for sure my priorities in life as a 55-year-old is going to be different than I am today as almost 30. I'm 29 right now. So my priorities as we age, they change. And so that means in life, there's going to be certain things that are more important than others. And so I think as you age, you need to be able to identify, okay, so what's important in my life? My family's important. My children are important, if those are things that you do have. My work is important if you're still working. So those three things that are your priorities in life. And then if you have other things that are also like, you know, hobbies and passions, you can sprinkle those in if you're capable. But the important thing is to be able to recognize whether or not those additional things are giving you added stress, or whether they are relaxing you and actually giving you fulfillment and helping you be de-stressed in life. The other thing is,
Yeah.
as you age, of course, with body autonomy and everything, you need to rest. You need to have more sleep. You need to physically and mentally rest more. And so being able to allot the right amount of time aside for those things are so imperative. It's so important. So I think finding the time in your day where you, and just like doing nothing, there's a difference between doing nothing and actually being present doing nothing, because you could be laying on the couch on your phone with a TV show on, and for you that's doing nothing, but you're not actually mentally and physically resting. And so there's an important difference between that. So you need to actually, in your own, because this is all personal experience, right? Every person's different, so you have to find things that when you do it, you go, okay, now I feel rested. I feel relaxed. Okay, what I just did, that made me feel mentally relaxed. And even looking into sleep, like you can monitor your sleep patterns, you can monitor whatever's going on at nighttime. And by doing that, you can see whether or not you're actually getting fully rested at nighttime. And if not, you can maybe visit a doctor or something and just say, these are my sleeping patterns. I feel like I'm not getting the ample amount of rest at nighttime, because that could be something that can play a large role as you age in feeling rested and relaxed.
Thank you so much. I actually decided to ask that question because we have, audiences of varying ages. And if
Yes.
you observe, you see that we have men with us also, even though it is, we mainly discuss female discussions, but we have our audience and supporters, the men come to support us and also they learn from it.
Yes.
Um, I believe you have answered the question that Henry is asking. He said, is burnout a medical condition and how long does it last and can it be avoided? I believe you have answered it, but I don't know if you want to say anything to that.
Yes. The answer is yes to all of the above. If you missed my kind of presentation part of today, I did kind of touch on that, but burnout can be considered a medical condition. It very much touches base with mental health and that area of things. So a lot of times people who reach burnout often have to search out external help, which is therapy or counselors or things like that, to kind of to get them back to the state that they were before they hit burnout. And then to the second question was, can it be prevented? And it can be, but the only way to prevent it is to be familiar with the signs, be familiar with the symptoms, and be able to identify them so that if it does present itself in your life, you'll be able to go, okay, this is happening, that will lead to here, so I need to take this action to prevent myself from moving forward.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have just one last question before we call it a day. Please, it is not part of what we are discussing, but in a way, I want to. Do children experience burnout?
That's a good question, and I would be very much interested to learn more about that, because I feel like very much so. I think as children, I don't know about yourself, but as a child myself, there was a period of my life where I was in a constant state of fight or flight. And being in that state very much can cause a child to be, I don't know if you would call it burnout as a child. I'm not sure if there's maybe a proper term for that. But any person in a state of fight or flight for a long period of time can definitely reach a feeling of burnout. So I'm not sure if that's the proper term for a child or not, but I don't doubt it. I definitely feel like they would probably experience something of that extent, for sure.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for this honor. It's been a very informative and educative and very relaxed discussion. I want to say thank you. And please, I know that you always, answer to us when we call. We'll look forward to having you next time
Of
on
course.
this platform. So thank you so much. And just thank you for the honor.
Of course. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much
much,
for having
everyone.
me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, everyone, for another wonderful, informative, therapeutic, exciting Saturday on the Y.W.W.B Initiative Discussion Platform. I am Rosemary Henrieze, and till I come your way next week, Saturday, I say ciao. Have a great
Bye.
week. Bye.